Hi there, welcome to Nonsense Whisky. My name's VinPF, and on today's episode, we're going to be covering something that I haven't actually covered on the channel before. That's a Tomintoul. This one is a 21 year. Now, I've covered technically the 10 year, but I did that on somebody else's channel, and that was actually way back in December 2016. I appeared on a Drama Days channel. If you remember that guy, he did a challenge throughout an entire year. He drank one dram every day, although, he did it in dribs and drabs, but he released a video every single day for a whole year for charity. Really good thing. Luckily for him, he's now got a job in the industry, but unluckily for us, he's no longer making content on his channel. Real unfortunate. But for some reason, I bought a whole bottle, or at least a half bottle, of the 10-year-old, but I didn't actually cover it on my own channel, which is really strange. Bringing me on to today, I've got the 21 year here, and it has been kind of lent to me by a friend at my day job, Matt. So he's got this bottle as a present for his graduation, and as you can see by the dust on top of this, he doesn't really touch it very often. This is he graduated a good few years ago. I'm not sure exactly how many. He's doing his PhD now, so it must have been at least a couple of years. So he says he touches it very rarely and likes to enjoy this when he feels appropriate at times. Now, the thing that you have to know about Tomintoul is that they, as they say here, the gentle dram, and we've got a 40%er here, which if you watch the channel, I'm not a huge fan when I see a 40%, especially when you get an expensive whiskey, which this is now. A couple of things you need to note about the expense of it. When this first came out, this is the original release of the 21 year, and that would have come out in 2011. And at the time, it probably was a bit cheaper than it is now. I've seen varying different prices online when I've done my research, as low as £64, as high as £80. They rebranded this in 2017, so we've got a new 21-year-old now, still 40%. That is currently for sale at £120. I can't say if that's worth the money or not for that one particular, but this one, we're going to kind of review it as if it was still out now, and if it was still that sort of original £60 to £80, which I think is probably quite cheap for a 21-year-old, but obviously bear in mind we're talking 9 years ago. Things have changed quite drastically since then. Fair enough. Now, this Tomintoul is owned by Angus Dundee Limited, but they were previously owned by White & Mackay's. In 2000, exactly dead on 2000, they sold to Angus Dundee. Now, if this was released in 2011, that would mean that this liquid inside here was actually distilled by White & Mackay. And in fact, just working out the maths on any of that, anything until next year, if you're watching this in 2021, then maybe you might get a 21-year-old that's made by the Angus Dundee Limited themselves, Angus Dundee Distillers. So right now, although we're under the Angus Dundee umbrella, really we're drinking White & Mackay liquid here. Probably fair to say. Now, they've got a bit of a core range on the go at the minute. So they've got the 10, the 14, the 16, the 21, and there is the 25 that's considered a core range, but good luck finding that. The price does ramp up a little bit, I have to say. If we're talking about the new ones now, let's ignore this for a minute. Talking about the new release ones, they start quite reasonably, about £30. Even the 16 nips up a little bit to just shy of 50, and then the 21 is over £100, which is a huge gap. A bit of a shame. Let's get onto this whiskey and see what we've got in the glass, shall we? And see if it's worth checking out this new one. On the nose, then. Now, as we said earlier, the gentle dram. If you've experienced Tomintoul in any way, shape or form, they are a very light variety of whiskey. Very light indeed. And there's no surprises here with that. Getting some honey, some caramel, some toffee, some vanillas. A little bit of appley notes there, I think, as well. Some red apples. Not like your really sweet red apples, but more like a gala mixture, green, red, cross, that kind of thing. It's alright. It's alright nose. I'm quite enjoying it, to be fair. You do have to dig deep. I have to say, on the channel, I do tend to lean towards more impactful whiskies. But this is a very gentle, relaxing whiskey. Let's try on the palate. Yeah, again, same sort of vibes. It's extremely gentle, extremely light. If you're planning on getting anything out of this, assessing wise, like I am today, You really do have to spend your time on it. Sometimes when I'm drinking a whiskey, I can pick up a glass and start pulling out tasting notes. This one, I spent a good few hours today before I recorded to try and really pick this apart. Haven't added any water to it. Didn't really see much point, to be honest, at 40%. But yeah, you've really got to spend some time with this. But if you don't want to spend some time with it, it really is just a very light, easy to drink whiskey. The finish, really short, but surprisingly spicy. It's got a bit of added interest in there, on top of the standard flavours that are coming through from the nose to the palate to the finish. Extra little bit of spices there make it a bit more interesting. Now, going back to the price and the value. At the current price, I don't know how this compares to the current 21, I must admit. But if it's anyway similar, £120 is far too much money for a dram like this, I have to say. If this was at the original asking price, we're going to guess around about 65 to 80, depending on the research online. Probably worth it. You know, these days, especially now, you'll struggle to find a 21-year-old whiskey for that sort of price. You know, I mean, they tend to be going for around about the £120 mark anyway. So I guess they're kind of pricing accordingly. Strangely enough, you can get a bottle of this, the original, on auction sometimes for as little as £70, which is probably a decent price, especially for a discontinued brand. The really interesting thing is that you can get That Boutique Whiskey Company version, a 21-year-old from there, at a much higher ABV, about 48%. Sure, it's a half litre, but you can get that for about £75 right now. That's on Master of Malt right now. I saw that today. So essentially, although it's a smaller bottle, you can get a higher quality version of this for probably about the same as you would a full price bottle, maybe so a little bit cheaper, which seems a shame. I have to say I've enjoyed drinking it, definitely enjoyed drinking it, and if you've managed to try this, I would like to know what you think about it. And as I said earlier, I tend to lean towards more impactful flavours, but I fully appreciate that there are a lot of people out there that just like to relax with a dram, and this is the kind of thing you want to be looking at. If your budget doesn't stretch to this sort of thing, then I definitely recommend checking out the Tomintoul lower age statement ones. The 10 is pretty good for the money, even though I haven't covered it on the channel yet. The 14 has a higher ABV, which is weird, 43%. Fairly decent. I have tried it. I've tried all of these at a stand, at a show. And the 16 as well is pretty good value, I have to say. I will intend to review them at some point. This just happened to kind of land with me when somebody offers you a lender bottle to review. You don't refuse. So thank you very much, Matt, for lending me that. If you're into this, let me know in the comments below and let me know what you thought. I haven't seen many videos online. I know Whiskey Wims has covered it in one of his short videos, so that's worth checking out. But yeah, really nice to try something like this, because I don't think I'd have gone out and bought that myself with that kind of money. And I have to say, I don't think I would stretch to it again, but really nice to be able to try something that I wouldn't normally go out and get.